Students, I have taught you verb, and actually in the verb chapter I taught you transitive verb, intransitive verb and verb complement. So today I have decided that we will actually read finite verb and non-finite verbs. As I have told you, the meaning of everything lies in the word itself. So first you need to know is what is the meaning of the word finite and what is the meaning of the word non-finite. Non-finite and finite, as you would be seeing, these two are actually the opposing words to each other. Finite means something which is limited or restricted, or non-finite means something which is not limited or not restricted, not bound with something. To understand this, let's see few sentences. Look at here. In this sentence, he wants to fly kites. In this sentence, which are the verbs? And normally you have seen that in every sentence the structure is like that: subject plus verb plus object. I taught you one day this. In that structure you saw that the verb actually shows the action done by the doer is subject. This he is actually subject in this sentence, and the action, the desire of this doer has been shown through this. Which word has been shown through this word? Wants is actually the main verb of the sentence, which is forming the tense, and it is also denoting the action done by the doer of the subject. So actually in this sentence, which are the verbs? In this sentence actually, which are the verbs? In this sentence actually there are two verbs. The first is wants and the second is to fly. But which verb is actually doing the job of a verb? The first thing is, what is the job of the verb? The job of a verb is actually to tell the action done by the subject of the sentence and also form the tense of the sentence. Here, which verb is doing that? Wants is doing that. The verb wants is actually forming the tense of this sentence. The verb wants is actually determining that this sentence is a simple present, is a sentence of simple present tense, and it has been used here in its fifth form here, because the subject is the singular number of third person. Look at here. This verb wants is actually in its fifth form. And why it is in its fifth form? Because the subject is the singular number of third person, he. With he, she, it, we generally use the fifth form of the verb in simple present tense. So this verb is actually forming the tense, and it is also restricted by the subject. If there would have been some other subject, like in this sentence, in the next sentence we have changed the subject from he to I. Look, one second, wait. In the next sentence we have changed the subject from he to I. So the verb has also changed its form. The want has also changed its form from wants, from fifth form to first form. But this verb is not changing its form. In this sentence, in these two sentences, in first sentence the subject had changed in the second sentence from the first sentence. So this verb had changed its form in the next sentence, in this sentence, in the second sentence. But this verb is in same form. This verb has not changed its form in first sentence and in second sentence and even in third sentence. Whether in the third sentence we change the subject or do not change, but if we change the tense, which verb actually will change the tense? Actually this verb. If we change the form of the tense if we change the form of this verb, the tense of the sentence will automatically change, because it is actually the verb that forms the tense of the sentence, the main verb of a sentence. This is the main verb of a sentence which is forming the tense of the sentence. So this verb is actually limited or restricted by the use of subject, by the doer of the sentence, by the subject of the sentence, or by the tense of the sentence also, because it is actually forming the tense. So it is restricted by the tense or subject. But this verb to fly, no matter the subject of in all these sentences or tense of the sentences has changed, but this verb actually, this verb to fly has not changed its form. In all these three sentences, the fly has been used in the same form. It is in its first form with to. So this is a different type of verb. It is a verb, but it is not doing the job of a verb. So we will have to give it a different name. This is a verb and it is doing the job of a verb. But this verb is not doing the job of a verb. So we will have to name it differently. So actually the main verb of the sentence, the actual verb of the sentence is actually known as the finite verb because it is limited. It is restricted by the use of subject, by the subject or tense of the sentence. But this verb, the other type of the verb that is used in the sentence, is not limited or not restricted by the doer or the tense of the sentence. That is why it is known as non-finite, because non-finite means something which is not limited or restricted, unbound. So students, let's first see the definition of finite verbs. As I have explained you in the examples of verb, finite verb are actually the verb that alters. Alters means change. A finite verb is a verb that alters its forms according to the subject and the tense of the sentence. As you have seen in the above example, when the subject of the when the subject of the sentence has changed, the verb has also changed its form from wants to want to wanted, from fifth form to first form to second form. This verb has changed its form. So this verb is actually finite verb because it changes its form according to the subject as well as subject and the tense of the sentence. So in the last sentence you have seen that we had to change the sentence of we had to change the tense of the sentence. That is why it has changed its form into second form. Now from simple present tense we had to use simple past tense. So we have changed the form of the verb. So you have seen that finite verbs are actually the verb that changes its form according to the subject and tense of the sentence. So automatically non-finites will be the verb which does not change its form according to the subject. Look at here, according to the subject or tense of the sentence. As you have seen in this example, to fly, to fly, to fly. No matter which is the subject of the sentence, no matter what is the tense of the sentence, this verb has not changed its form. So now student, I hope you would have understood the term finite and non-finite and what are the actually finite verbs and non-finite verbs. This is the definition of finite verb I have explained you, and this is the definition of non-finite verb. A verb that does not change its form according to the subject and the tense of the sentence is actually non-finite verb. To understand it further, let's see some other example. Look at here. In this sentence, winning was everything. Again, in this sentence, there are two verbs. The first is winning and the second is watch. But it is a word of verb category. But in this sentence, this is a sentence from here to here. In this sentence, this verb is not doing the job of a verb because it is not telling anything about the subject. Actually, in this sentence, it is itself the subject. So, becoming a subject in the sentence is not a verb's job. It is actually a noun's job to become a sentence of the sentence. So, become the subject of the sentence. So, in this sentence, the beginning verb is actually a noun. It is doing the job of a noun, not a verb. So, this is a different verb. This is a non-finite verb. Because this is not restricted by the subject, it is not bound with any rules or regulation of the grammar. It is unbound. That is why it is actually non-finite, because the meaning of the word non-finite means not limited or not restricted. Now let's see the second example. In this sentence, was is actually forming the tense of the sentence and it has been used in place of the verb. What is the structure of a sentence? Subject, verb, object. So it has been used in place of a verb, and it is forming the tense of the sentence. So this is the original verb, this is the finite verb, and this is the non-finite verb. Just in the next sentence also, was is actually was paid is actually the finite verb, while to perform, though it is a verb normally, but in this sentence it is not doing the job of a verb, so it is a non-finite verb. Now in the last sentence, came is actually forming the tense of the sentence, while to see does not have to do anything with the tense of the sentence. Actually non-finite does not have to do anything with the tense or the subject of the sentence. That is why it is known as non-finite verbs. So students, I hope you would have understood the concept of finite verb and non-finite verb. Tomorrow I will explain it further, and we will read the kind of non-finite verbs.